Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday to you. Now, I know I told y'all that I was taking the weekend off. But, when I reached out to Sam Fine and asked him when he can come and do, he said Saturday. So when Sam Fine said he can do Saturday, guess who's working on Saturday? Me. And that's why I'm here to bring you guys Sam Fine today. So I'm quite excited. But how are you guys doing on this Saturday? I am doing well. I took a bike ride this morning with Craig Stewart. We rode for 10 miles today. McGavin made that happen, so I'm excited about that. And I was able to get my day started. And now I'm here to talk with you guys about some amazing things, talk about the industry. And if you don't know who Sam Fine is, I get to introduce you guys to Sam Fine, but I'm sure all you guys know who he is. And I see he just stepped in the room, so I am going to bring him up. Let's see. Hey, Sam.
Derek J, what's going on? Thank you for working on Saturday. Thank you for accommodating my schedule. I appreciate it.
It's no, oh, please. I mean, is it really a job? I mean, I really can do what I want.
But it is, though. But it is.
But it is the job.
I have watched many of your creative talks with Chucky and Oscars and AJ Crimson. And so it's been so wonderful. So thank you for asking me to join.
Well, it's been weird. It was weird. Well, I knew I was going to ask you, but because you've been doing your own too. So I was like, how do we work? Like, how are we trying to figure out each other's schedules to jump on? But
no competition. We making it happen. As soon as you reached out, the first thing I said was yes.
Yes, you did. How are you?
I'm good. I actually put on a shirt.
Well, and I put on a robe.
I was like, okay, but you did your bike ride already.
Yes.
I am going to do my bike ride after.
Well,
I've been sleeping really strangely.
Well, speaking about a bike ride, Sam, I didn't know bikes cost this much. Like, I just bought mine 2 weeks ago. So I was looking for the 125,
Where? Target? Because you can't have a bike conversation with anything below like 350, 500. And my friends are spending upwards of like 1,200.
Yeah, no, I was at 7.
Dude, when I tell you, and because so many people are getting outside and biking, that the prices have risen drastically, and then you need a seat, or you need a padded seat, or then you need the cell phone holder, then you need a lock, then you need what else?
It doesn't come with it don't come with a water bottle holder neither. You have to buy that too.
And a light for night, because I like riding at night. Actually, the nights are beautiful in LA, so I find myself riding a lot at night, coming home from friends' homes. That I'd rather bike than Uber. So things aren't so spread out here. I know you can't bike that far in Atlanta.
Well,
right?
no, I've learned that I'm not a street biker. So I am a path biker.
I'm a New Yorker. I will get in the street. I will hit your car. I will tell you, why are you in my lane? I will go. I'm a car. I am not a bike. Okay, so I go for it. And I have to say, I used to ride across all the bridges. I used to live in Brooklyn in New York. And so I used to ride across all the bridges. And I have to say, I've just got acclimated to city biking.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to that. But
we left out helmet. Oh yeah,
you have to get. Well, I haven't got my helmet yet.
Don't say that.
I got a big head, so I'm trying to find a helmet to fit.
Dude, I'm like, whoa! And this is a large.
Right.
I was gifted a helmet. And it's so nice, but man, when I tell you, I just can't always bring myself to wearing it. But then the mom in me keeps
Mm-hmm.
thinking, well, what if you have an accident? God forbid, you know, you hurt yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
and so I know it's important. I know it's important.
It is. So how are you doing on the quarantine? Are you thriving during the
If this
quarantine?
beard is any reflection, yeah, yeah. Dude, I moved a month prior to COVID shutdown before
Mm-hmm.
the quarantine began, and so it gave me an opportunity to get organized. It gave me an opportunity to do some handiwork around the house. I have become so proficient with a drill now. I don't even know myself. I have organized my makeup. I have folded all my clothes. I have done a little bit of everything, and I welcomed the pause for sure. But I am definitely yearning connection
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm with you on that one. Even though they let us open up in Atlanta,
Mm,
we're really not. I know.
mm,
I know.
mm.
Yeah. Yes. And and it's so because somebody DM me, not DM, they text me and was like, "Hey, can you host my Memorial Day party this weekend at this club?" I'm like, "No, are you
Mm-mm.
absolutely crazy? I'm not hosting a Memorial
I
Day
can
party."
host it in name only. I can host it
But
in
yeah,
name
yeah,
only.
but I would not be there. I'm like, you're absolutely nuts. So my Sam Fine story.
Oh
So
God.
when I met you officially at Essence Festival,
Yes.
and you were working on the stage for My Black is Beautiful.
Yeah.
I was in
Cover
Savannah
girl.
Smith, and I was
Yeah.
walking past. You were like, Derek J. And I was like, I said, I know Sam Fine didn't just call my damn name. He was like, don't act like we don't know who you are. Come on over here, have a seat. I was like, I'm like, oh, like,
I tell
so,
people all the time that I am a fan of so many artists, and I entered into this industry with so many hairstylists.
mm-hmm,
Thomas Hayden, James Harris,
mm-hmm,
gosh, Barry Fletcher. Like
mm-hmm.
I have such a profound respect for hairstylists, and to go to Bronner Brothers and not be able to say what's up. I mean, what's the point?
Right, that is true.
You
That is true.
know?
Now, how long have you been doing makeup? So I'm still new to this makeup world. So I know who you are, but I don't know the story of Sam
You
Fine.
see this
So,
beard? You see this beard?
well, I thought you dyed it that way.
Dude, you do not dye. No. Let's be clear. When I dye my beard, I'm dyeing it black, not dyeing it gray. I recently turned 50, November 12th. Shout out to all my Scorpio brothers and
November
sisters.
7th. There
See,
we go.
see, see. Um, uh, and I have been doing makeup for 30 years. I
Mm-hmm,
started when I was 21 professionally. And I say
mm-hmm,
professionally because that was the time that I began working, and freelance was the only thing that was paying my bills.
mm-hmm.
I have been artistic my entire life. Anyone who has joined my lives, the lives that I'm having with other people, know that I was a fashion illustrator. I'm from Chicago, born and raised South Side. And I wanted to move to New York to go to school. I wanted to go to Parsons. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted to compete with the best. And but between, gosh, I'm giving you guys the abridged version. James Harris, hairstylist James Harris, was
Mm-hmm.
very pivotal in my career. That's my dad, and he introduced me to Naomi Sims Cosmetics. Um, and they were hiring for a position at their counter at A&S Plaza, which is 34th Street, like a block away from Macy's.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the job, and I moved to New York when I was 19 for good, and took a job there and just came in contact with so many other professionals. James also introduced me to Fran Cooper, a makeup legend. And I started assisting her. I started assisting other artists. My best friend, I was so fortunate. My best friend lived in New York and was a working makeup artist. So he became my mentor, my best friend, and an example of the kind of makeup artist I wanted to become.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you talk about these moments that make you like, when did you get your big start?
Mm-hmm.
Probably when I got fired from the cosmetic counter because I was calling in sick all the time to do tests for my portfolio, to
Mm-hmm.
work freelance jobs. And I had met Naomi Campbell at a fashion show, and she gave me a call at the cosmetic counter. And it was soon after that they fired me, and I've been a freelancer ever since.
And doesn't it feel good when you're able to you're able to just do what you love doing and able to make money from it and be able to survive?
But I didn't know that this was something that I could do.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that art was something, a viable career. I
Mm-hmm.
only knew that, my dad was an electrician, and I only knew to get a job like him. And he told me that one day I'd have a family to support, and that I should be thinking, strongly about getting a good job that I could support a family, as he's done, yeah, for us for 90 years, for 90 years. So they didn't come from that environment. They couldn't dream as big as I was able to. So
Mm-hmm.
it's lovely that I've been able to show them a different life and what is out here for us.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you ever think that when you quit your job, when you got fired from your job, did you ever think that
There's a
Sam
difference.
right, it's a difference. Yeah, no, you didn't quit, you got fired.
Uh-huh.
But did you ever think that Sam Fine will become this name, this brand, this person? Was that ever your dream, or was it your dream just to be able to do makeup and just be able to work and just be able to stay working?
My dream wasn't to do makeup.
Mm.
My dream wasn't to become famous.
Mm-hmm.
My dream wasn't to ride the ride that I have ridden.
Mm-hmm.
I think that God has a very distinct plan for you. And it is our job as vessels to go out there and say yes to everything that He's bringing into you.
Mm-hmm.
When I started out in the industry, we were reading credits in magazines. There was no
Mm-hmm.
social media. There was portfolios. You had to test with photographers. You had to constantly prove to people that you belonged in this
Mm-hmm.
industry, and you had to hustle. You had to hustle hard. I'm not saying that people aren't hustling hard now, but the hustle was very different. It was
It's a
physical.
different
It
hustle.
was physical. Yeah, you had to be somewhere. You had to call people. You had to drop off your book. You had to
Mm-hmm.
really show up in so many
Mm-hmm.
ways. This wasn't an email. This wasn't a text. This was physical connection. You had to go see beauty editors, and they flip through your book and ask you, well, come back when you've done a little bit more. It was very, very much that. And also the same for agencies. So none of this was easy. And I think that so much more than focusing on becoming successful, I was
Mm-hmm.
focusing on becoming great at what I did.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to me becoming famous in our
Mm-hmm.
industry because of the standards that I have and continue to uphold.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know that there are names that are coming up in the industry, like the Rennie Vasquez and
Who
and
I did
some.
a co-branded tour with, who I did a
Mm-hmm.
tour with. I did a tour with Rennie Vasquez.
Mm-hmm. So, do you see this new wave of people that's coming through? Because I guess because Rennie Sir John, we were all in that same brand. But then the people that's after us, do you see people coming and becoming the next bigger people? Because I think that from a hair standpoint, I feel that our industry have gotten so watered down with just people that just made it happen, but it just kind of just happened. They really had to work for it, so they don't really understand what goes into taking it to that next level.
Derek, I have to tell you, when I came along, Roxana Floyd and Reggie Wells were looking at me as that person.
Mm-hmm.
They were looking at me like, who is this kid with a ponytail?
Mm-hmm.
Where is he coming from? Mind you, I had hair. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so just had to put that out there. Um, uh, I love you, Derek Rutledge. I love you,
Yeah,
Pamela Macklin. I'm just looking at a few comments. I think it is so important to know that when you're the new kid on the block, you still have to hold your own. You're the
yes.
new kid on the block because you're being watched. You are being received. You are being anointed by your predecessors. The
Mm-hmm.
people who come before you are looking to see if you really have what it's got. Are you here because you love the art of makeup and beauty and fashion, or are
Mm-hmm.
you here to become famous?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's very easy to see really early on. I love the industry. I've always had, as a fashion illustrator, I used to draw from the runways. I used to take from magazines. So being a makeup artist was an evolution for me, obviously, but I don't read the kids for wanting what they see we've had.
Gotcha.
Within the 30 years that I've been doing this, they've been able to watch my career and see all of what we can have in a way that I wasn't able to watch even Reggie and Roxana and Fran. I looked at their commercial success, but none of them had been spokespeople. None of them had created brands at that time. I became the first African-American spokesperson for Revlon, then the first African-American spokesperson for CoverGirl, and then the first creative makeup director for Fashion Fair. So I had a very different opportunity and a very different career than they were afforded. So I don't blame the kids for wanting that. And I want to be an example to them to be able to say that they can have it too.
That was a good answer.
Because I can't read the kids.
Yeah,
because we're the ones who set them up. We're the ones who set them up. Your TV show, my book. These are the things that set them up to feel like this is something I should have. And I want to be that example. And I want them to know that they can have it. But I also want them to understand that the hard work and determination and thankless days and nights that go into building a career are also on their back.
Now, what is Sam Fine's aesthetic? Like, what makes people book Sam Fine? Like, it's like, because
you tell me.
Well, from the people I've seen you work with, I mean, they always have beautiful skin. They
okay.
I don't know if that's what because I don't know if that's you do that from the makeup center or they already came in with beautiful skin. But I think that when I look at somebody too done, they just look naturally fresh and beautiful. It's not overly done. It's not real. It's not, you don't change who they are physically.
Thank you. And I mean, look, Derek, I tell people all the time, you attract who you are. And you know this, being in the salon. When I think of Oscar James, when I think of Chucky, distinct personalities, Kim Kimble, I think of distinct personalities that speak to their hair, care, their love for styling. Oscar will tell you to this day that he is one of the simplest stylists. He just wants beautiful hair, great texture, and he wants to watch it move. That's it. Chucky is a stylist supreme. When you guys were talking about how he would split the back of the hair just to frame the face because no one's going to see the back, and you're like, as a salon stylist, you're thinking 360. So I'm constantly thinking about the people that they attract. And so much of my clientele speaks to what I love about makeup. When I look at a Vanessa Williams or Patti LaBelle or Tyra, Naomi, Iman, these are women. Naomi just celebrated her 50th birthday. Iman is 60-something years old and still a classic stunner. So I think of those moments, and I want to, from a very selfish perspective, I want to be able to look back at my work and enjoy it today in the same way that I did 20, 30 years ago. So even when I go back to my book, Fine Beauty, I'm able to look at that cover and not feel that that was a moment in time, but that was a moment in time that I can still pick up today and refer to.
So I feel like you have all these answers already written down. Like,
No, nothing. We didn't even talk before. Look, it's in me. It is in me. And I want the kids to enjoy a lucrative, long career. That is my goal for them. How do you pace that? How do you maintain it? It's not without dings and mistakes, but how do you stay steady on the path? I think that's the goal. That's the goal. But once again, I'm mentioning Iman. I've worked with her for more than a decade. And so these are the women that I've had an opportunity to learn from. When I hear Vanessa do an interview, when I hear Michelle Obama do an interview, when I'm taking notes. so that I can spread that same inspiration in my field that they spread in theirs.
Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of knowing, but having a lucrative career,
Mm-hmm.
when you got into the groove of being a freelance makeup artist, what were your steps to, one, growing your price point, growing your service point, and then also, how long into it did you get an agent and all that good stuff? Because that's what a lot of people that's getting into it, they're like, when do I get an agent? When do I get an agent? And I said, well, if you don't have nothing to really agent or manage, there's nothing to really, there's no real need to go get one. But so for you, how did that process go for you?
The misconception that you need an agent to work or need an agent to validate your artistry, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think it is incredibly important for artists to learn how to manage their business long before they go to an agent.
Mm-hmm.
If I can't understand the temperament or how to charge or how to ask for what I feel that I want during that period, then how can I expect them to do it? I think we're handing over a great deal of responsibility to someone and saying, you do this, I'm not going to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have a perspective. You have to have a perspective. And Oscar James, hairstylist Oscar James, and I have talked about this so often because he chose Ken because he didn't want to do it anymore. But also, he has a strong perspective on what he feels is right. But I'm also always in his ear, as I am in many artists' ear. Like, are they sending a car for you? Are they paying for your transportation? These are things. I wouldn't be leaving my house if I weren't hired to do this job. So I wouldn't be traveling to New York. I wouldn't be traveling to LA if it weren't for you. So the idea is that you'll be paying for that. And every day that I stay in a hotel, you'll supply me with per diem to eat and to tip with. And I might even charge a travel day, because now I've traveled to Japan for 22 hours. And that's a day within itself that I've lost. If you can't learn that first, then sometimes you're exposed to it by an agent. But let's say that you, like you said, the point that you brought up, if you are a working artist, how much time have you wasted not asking for those things to now get to an agent who is now hipping you to what we've all been fighting for? So it's important that you learn about the business, and I push every boundary that I can all the time. Not because I look at other white makeup artists and thinking about what they get, or thinking about what Fran was getting, or thinking about what Kevin Aquan was getting. I think about what the job would pay and what is the standard for that job. Rates vary, Derek, you know this. There's such a range. And I also say that we work in an industry that will never give you a raise.
No.
With that in mind, you have to be able to promote your own growth. You have to fight for rates and push for your growth as your career grows. I'm not the same artist that Patti LaBelle met, who was assisting doing the background singers by the time that I did her for the Grammys. I wasn't the same makeup artist that I was who did her for the Grammys, our first time working together, that I was when she used me for a music video. I wasn't the same artist when I started working with Vanessa Williams, Iman, and Tyra and Naomi, that now that I'm working with Monique, I have a different rate. You have to continue to grow and fight. And I hate saying fight, because I think we sometimes have to fight our own mind of what we're worth or what we deserve, which in this industry, there are no set rates. We don't walk in, there's no minimum wage. There's no union protecting us. There is only banding together with one another to make sure that we are all taken care of. So when Oscar shows up and tells me that he took a train to the plane, I'm looking at him like he's lost his mind, because the first thing you ask for is a car. But if I didn't tell him that, he would have found out. His agent might have argued for it later. But he might not have understood this was, to me, standard treatment of an artist of your caliber working with a celebrity of this caliber. So the question is kind of twofold. I think it's important to look for agents when you get to a point where you can't handle it as much anymore. But there wasn't one moment, there'll never be one moment. And Rodney, my longtime agent, or Gene Owen, my first agent, would respond to this. There's not one moment that I am not advising them on how to approach this, how to look at a deal. I read all my contracts. Everything that comes to me, I ask all the questions, and I look for them to ask more questions.
So you're involved in everything that comes through to you,
from down to signing the checks. You have to be. You have to be, Derek. You have to be. Do you know how many people have been robbed? Do you know I was with an agent for
me?
Look. And when I say I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and I may seem like, I'm all real nice and all, but I'm not very nice when it comes to my money, because that is the only reason I go to work. If I did it for the love of the job, then I wouldn't be charging. Right. So it's very important for me to fight for overtime, fight for better treatment. The only way I learned to show up on a job and ask for a check the same day was because I was waiting I did a 2-day music video, and the company went bankrupt, and now they don't owe me. So I had to learn in going back to the record company, the record company told me, we gave them your money already. Now they're bankrupt, and now they don't owe me, and they can start another company tomorrow. So now that I know that they have my money from the beginning, I'm going to ask for a check the same day. And I take that to everywhere. I take that everywhere I go. And whether it's a hairstylist, whether it is a makeup artist, whether it is a stylist, I let them know, ask for your money. Ask for your money up front. And a lot of us, I think, especially as artists of color, I think we come from a place of, it shows that you don't have money, or they may think that I'm desperate for money. Think what you want. Run me my money, because that's the only reason I'm here. And then it helps people to understand, to respect what we do. Because a lot of times as freelancers, there's no one in HR we can go to. There's no affirmative action. There's no one we can call. The only thing that we can resort to is suing them. And no one really wants a bad name in the business that way. But I think if you set up your terms from the beginning of a project, then you can continue moving forward in that way.
So no more 30. No, so y'all hear that? No more 30, 60-day, 90-day net situations.
It happened. Look. Disney, Hearst. Disney has a 75-day payment terms. Hearst magazines, which is Harper's Bazaar and many others, just sent out an email saying that they are net 75. It's not lawful. I will go on to Freelancers Union and go onto the laws and copy and paste it and put into an invoice and saying 30 days. It doesn't stop people from abusing us, but it does make them think twice about it.
See, I didn't know that. So I'm glad. So you teaching me something new right here.
You can Google it. But there is a freelance law. Within 30 days, you should be paid. And I think 30 is too long. How many people work a job and wait 30 days to get paid?
Get a check. Yeah.
Help me understand that. But a lot of people feel like because we make so much money in one sitting, that we can wait, and that they'll hold our money and wait for it. And a lot of people are very resentful, I found, about the money that we do make. And that's challenging, but that's not my problem. That's not my problem.
I know. I hear that, especially on working on TV film, they get real upset about hair and makeup people. You be like, listen, this is what the race that they've got for us. Like this, and plus we do a lot of work. Like we may sit afterwards, but we do a lot of work at the beginning.
It's a very challenging system. It's a very challenging system. But the more we all, and I hope everyone who's listening understands this, the more we all band together, the more that we reach out to our counterparts, the more we ask the person who was on the show before us, the more we ask the person who's the hairstylist for that client. Or if I'm coming to work with you, Derek, maybe I can call you and say like, hey, what are the rates? Help me understand how this person pays. Help me understand what I should be asking. So I can put that into my perspective and still maybe ask for maybe a little more. Maybe you didn't know that you could ask for more. And I'm coming in, maybe starting a new system. And we're all learning. I think it's the more we come together and ask for similar treatment, the more successful we'll all be.
That's why I like especially when I teach classes and stuff, I like to talk money, because I think that as Black people, we don't want to talk money. We don't want to. We'll talk about money, but we don't want to say numbers. And I think that we need to hear the numbers. We need to know what these things are. Like, what is the rates for these things? Like, you know, I'm just saying, but when you're working with someone, because when somebody is out here doing, especially now this day and age, you have hairstylists going to do celebrities for $150, and you're like, no, you can't.
But see, let me say this, Derek. But let me just say this: the first time I did Patti LaBelle, I did her for $150. It was a do and go. Right. Editorial rates have not changed. If anything, they've gotten lower because magazines are less and less successful. You know, it's a business in trouble. It doesn't mean that you can't grow from there. It's that many artists make quoting their rates so personal, and it's not. It's business. If you move to New York and you find out what everyone is charging for a do and go, then you have a better sense of how to price yours and what grouping you sit in and what experience you have. It's not, I mean, look, you can make a fake call to another prominent artist or an agent and find out what someone's quoting. It's not a secret, but that doesn't mean that my rates don't change. And they change based on how long I've worked with someone. What am I getting from it? How much exposure am I getting from this? Has someone seen me do a celebrity before? The first time I did Patti LaBelle, we had tried to hook up a few times. And the first time I did her was for the Grammys, and it was a do and go. And I didn't really know what to charge, and I thought 150 was fine. She tipped me. She's such an amazing woman. She gave me a wonderful tip, and then she began using me more, and she allowed me to grow within the time in which we were together. And I hope that people are aligning themselves with clients who do the same.
And with people, I remember when Curtis Smith gave me a call to do to work with Usher for him to color his hair, and he called me and was like, "Hey, this is how we do this. So this is not this. This is how we do this. So
this isn't a music video. I'm paying for this out of pocket. Can we establish a rate that speaks to that? Sure, I can. Because those are now days that you can go get this money. You know, it might even be in cash. That might even be in your negotiation. It might be now you guys have Venmo and PayPal. So it might be a way that makes it even easier for you to get that money. But you also want to make sure that you are seen in a growing position. Like, I want to be that person who's able to do you for the music video. I don't want to be the person who only does you for do and goes. And you want to align yourself with people who see a future in you. And I was so fortunate to Veronica Webb and to Tyra and to Naomi Campbell and Vanessa Williams for seeing that in me.
Now you've done so much in the industry so far, and still have lots more to do. But what is it? What is there some things that you would like to do that you haven't done yet?
I'm, as far as artistry is concerned, I don't think about another client in that way. You know, with 30 years of experience, I take what comes to me, and I always have, really. I think the universe brings you exactly what you need and want, what you manifest. And I'm not someone at this point who's yearning for another client. I'm sure I'll meet someone. I'm sure I'll work with someone again. It's new to me. I recently worked with Angela Bassett, and I've known her for years. I've worked on group covers with Essence magazine and know her well. But we just got the opportunity to work together, and it was divine timing. And so I love that when you can come together with someone and it's just the perfect timing. I don't try to force it. More than anything, I think about next steps, which of course would be cosmetics, another book, but not an educational book, a book that speaks to what we're talking about now. I have so many Polaroids and so much work. Cynthia Bailey was in my first book. Tamiko Frazier in my first book. And that was 21 years ago. So to look back at these relationships and have so many moments that have not been seen or in one place, to do a retrospect that speaks of a lifelong work, because I don't know that careers like mine will exist in 20 more years. To be able to reflect on those stories, the ups and the downs, it's going to be interesting. That's going to be interesting. So I think about more projects as opposed to clients.
Gotcha. Now, do you still, even at the level you are there still downs, or is it always ups?
Child, we both on unemployment and food stamps. What do you mean? These are downs right now. I got my CalFresh, look, I pay taxes. I pay payroll. The movies and the film that I work for pay into my unemployment. I'm going to get mine. I'm owed this. So yes, there are downs. There are lulls to your career. The reason I did find beauty was because it was at a time at 27, 28 years old that I had already reached one pinnacle of success. And now I was thinking about, how can I keep this going? How can I enjoy another chapter of my career? And I think that we have to look at the downs as a blessing. I look at what's happening now as a blessing to reset and really focus on what I want as an artist, where I want to live, how I want to move forward. Because I think a lot of times we just let that phone call keep us busy, and we're not really thinking about what we really want to meditate on. What do we really want to bring into our lives? And so I hope that many of the artists who are watching today, I hope that they are thinking about how they are going to come out of this different and renewed, not just going back to chase a check. But what does that check mean to your livelihood? Aside from the obvious bill payings and parent support, I know that there are, child support. I know there are so many people out there grappling with so many different issues that money can solve some of those problems. But I think I've always been a firm believer in doing something I enjoy, the money always follows.
I'm glad you said that about unemployment and food stamps, because it took Oscar. When I did with Oscar was like, "You ain't signed up yet? What is wrong with you?"
Look, when they said, "What was the last day you worked?" I was like, I was on unemployment, because you also have to realize, you guys, I call people like Merce Arsenault, who's a wonderful makeup artist in television and film, long time, and I called her up. I called up DeAndre Michaels, who I'm bike riding with later today. And we talked about leaving an open claim on your unemployment, because sometimes you have a movie, then sometimes you don't. Sometimes you day play, sometimes you don't. So I think being able to understand the system, and that unemployment and food stamps aren't given to you at a time when you have absolutely no money. Sometimes they just help to fill in the gaps for the savings and money that you do have. So you don't have to go into your IRA and break that out before 59 and a half, that you don't have to go to your parents or your sisters or your friends and ask for a loan, that you can manage your funds in a way that that when we are able to come back, that we can continue to thrive.
It's just about reconditioning what that is. I think that it just has such a negative connotation. It's like if you're on food stamps or if you have unemployment that you're poor, and it's like, but that's not even the case.
My mother used to get government cheese.
Hmm.
There was no stigma. She
Hmm.
bought that cheese in there, and we were happy to have it. They are
Hmm.
offering meals. I know our union, Local 706 in LA, does care packages, and we deliver food to people. I have donated. I also go to the restaurants that I know that are smaller, that aren't part of the big chains, that I make sure to purchase meals to go because I want to go back to those restaurants when I come back. I'm even thinking of, I've been thinking, it's been on my mind to reach out to one of my drivers that I use a lot and just ask him, how's he doing? To
Hmm.
make sure he's okay. I don't think this is a time to fear and to think in lack. I know that there are a lot of emotions coming up during this time, but I think it's still about living in abundance. And
Hmm.
my rent is paid, fortunately, even though I don't have to pay for it, but I don't want to get behind in certain things. There are certain credit cards I've put on hold, but I
Hmm.
think it's about, it is about thinking about how we're going to come back to this better, stronger, and how blessed we are to be able to go back to work. Many of us know that we're going to go back to work in a strong and steady way. And hopefully the ones of us who do are a beacon of hope and will reach out to others who are not as uh, first to
Hmm.
return.
Hmm. Now I know I have a lot of makeup artists in here, and a lot of friends that I see that's in here. So can we talk about the setup of Sam Fine when it's time to do a client? Like what? Because I don't know. Like I said, because we never worked together before. But it's like
Yes, yes, yes.
Sam Fine does so because Sam Fine takes an hour and a half just on this, and he takes 2 hours on this, and he takes 5 hours on that, or
This
whatever
has
he's doing.
become this is look. This has become urban legend at this point.
Right.
Yes, I have taken 2.5, almost 3 hours to do RuPaul, but I'd like to think that you all would understand why.
Right.
That is the height and the joy, the greatest joy that I could get as an artist. Patti LaBelle, if I wasn't available for a job, she would say, Sam, come down from New York to Philly, do my face, I'm gonna sleep in it, and I'm gonna get up, I'll be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was trained in showgirls, Patti
Mm-hmm.
LaBelle, Vanessa Williams, concerts. Patti would say, "Paint me for the cheap seats," but I
Mm-hmm.
always still want to make it pretty, and I always still want to make it something that when she was doing the Super Bowl, or Mary J. Blige is doing a Super Bowl, or we're doing something that you're reading them from afar, that it's still beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to take my time, but I'm an artist who came into uh, the industry at a time when retouching wasn't the norm. I couldn't put
Mm-hmm.
a filter on it. There wasn't a filter for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't put that lash on right and your contour didn't set beautifully into the skin and it wasn't warm and rich, it just looks bad.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand what that's like, but my setup is I don't think it's any different than anyone else's, and I think it changes from client to client.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to introduce, I've worked with everyone from Gladys Knight to Shaka Khan to Eartha Kitt to Patti LaBelle, and when you're working with women of a certain age, you can't introduce trends in the same way that you can to the younger girls. You can't have all this glow and blue eyeshadow because Patty would just look like she was in LaBelle. It wouldn't look
Mm-hmm.
like she ever left that era. So looking for some classics, whether it's a color on the lip or whether it is able to introduce a little bit of glitter here so they participate in the trend, but they don't overdo it, is very important to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, especially as I've worked with someone like Iman, and women constantly, I mean, Angela Bassett, they constantly comment on what timeless beauties they are, but we also have to understand what a timeless beat is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now, is skincare a big thing for you before starting? Okay.
I have no formal training. I am not an esthetician.
Mm-hmm.
Color and coverage is what I know. So whatever I get when it sits in my seat, I'm going to work on that. And there is no amount of skincare, there is no amount of treatment there is no amount of prep and prime that you can do for someone who is sunburned and they are literally peeling. This is when you have to go into your bag of tricks and think about who you are as an artist and how you can compensate for what's going on right now. And that's going to be a different color because she's tan. That's going to be about less powder, but she's got to have some powder. But where do you place it? Because every time I powder her, another layer of skin comes up. So you've got to think strategically and you've got to think fast. And those are the kinds of things that you learn practically. You learn that as they come to you. And so that's just something that happens in time. You learn these tricks. You learn these tricks.
Do you still get nervous doing someone?
For sure. I often say that nerves are the respect we pay our clients. If you're not nervous, then go home. I'm a lot less nervous, but I'm not, and Oscar James is on here, and I know he'll understand this. I'm not nervous just for myself. I'm nervous for everyone around me. I want him to have a great day. I want the stylist to have a great day. I want the manicurist to have a great day, because it all has to come together. We're a team. And so I'm never working alone. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it. If a client is looking a certain way about something in the mirror, I'm intuitive. So I might have the luxury of being able to say, do you guys want to go in the mirror and finish this, or find the part, or see this for a minute? Because they don't know what's going on. I see it. It's so pretty. But you guys want to check this out in the mirror? Helping that along is helping the team. So me being nervous is not just a Sam Fine thing. I'm nervous for the client. I'm nervous for the stylist. I'm nervous for the hairstylist. I'm nervous for the manicurist, because it's all got to come together or we're all screwed.
It's all about teamwork, and people don't get that sometimes. We talked about before, where you can see a person on the red carpet and you see we're just not connected. It's like the hair.
It's not cohesive. It's not cohesive because we can't fight. I've got to say to Oscar, what are you thinking? I say to Aisha Merriweather, who works with Queen Latifah, her longtime hairstylist, where are we going with this? Because I can't fight. I can't fight and give you glitter and contour and a red lip when you're about to do all of this hair, and now we're competing. And then you've got a dress with all of this stuff on it. This is not good. And not to be a team leader, but I think it's important to have a voice that speaks to everyone and to be able to make it clear in a loving way about how we need to understand what we're doing. I have to see the clothes. I've got to understand what mood the client is in. Does she feel like taking a risk? You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they don't. Today's not that day. I've had those days. Vanessa Williams joined a chat that I was having with Oscar James, and people know that I'm notorious for bleaching brows. And I bleached her brows, and she wasn't happy. And there was nothing I could do. There was nothing I could do. She was going to the Grammys, but also the zipper to her bustier had burst. It wouldn't go up, and it broke. So now she had to wear a secondary outfit. She had her brows bleached, which was a new thing that she didn't like. It wasn't my day. It wasn't my day. And I'm so happy to I say it all the time, to have people like herself, to have people like Tyra, to have people like Vanessa Williams and Patti LaBelle to help me find my artistry and not hold me to the expectation that everything we did had to be perfect and had to be winning. If we don't take chances, we never know what we are going to experience. They're never going to know that new nude lipstick. They're never going to know that dark that they had never worn before. And I've had fights with clients about it. Like, let's take a chance. This is that moment. And fortunately, 9 out of 10, I've been in good standing with it.
And if you're not, you just bounce back and just keep it moving, huh? That's all you can really do.
You ain't for everybody, right?
Now, what advice would you give any artist that's just trying to just take it to the next level, step their game up? or just be better for themselves, what kind of advice would you give them?
There's so much advice. There's so much advice, honestly. It goes from being, from having a conversation of being, talking about something as simple as being prepared and on time, to something as big as learning how to market yourself. There was a Tammy Roman, I know you saw this. Tammy Roman did one of her bonnet talks about, people marketing themselves. I don't want to get your name on your dig for it. But it was so funny because there's a lot of people who confuse their current brand with the brand they would like to become. And they're the same brand. My name is Sam Fun from day one. And I have dressed the same way pretty much. I've represented myself the same pretty much. And you have to find some consistency there in marketing as well as for your artistry. People come to know you that way. When I think of Derek Rutledge, I'm going to think of this meticulously dressed man with jewelry. He loves jewelry. He loves color. He loves coordinating. When I think of your brand, it's unabashedly, artists who wants to push the limits. You know what I'm saying? So you got to know your brand and be true to it. It's not, you're not dressing up, you're doing you. And I think at every point, whether it is your artistry, you can't fake any of this. No. You can't fake any of this. You've got to be that through and through. So when I was a Revlon spokesperson, it was the same person that I brought to CoverGirl. It's the same person that I brought to Fashion Fair. And of course, you grow and you learn, and as your artistry does as well. But it's important for there to be a common thread about your brand that is authentically you.
Sam, you need to. I know you said you don't want to do another educational book, but this needs to go into something. It could be a little pamphlet. It could just be a little.
A pamphlet? Really? This a pamphlet? But Derek, seriously, I feel like when you go on the floor of Bronner Brothers, and when you talk about being who you really are authentically, and I've seen some of your talks, and I went down the rabbit hole of your YouTube conversations last night doing my research. Because I want to show up prepared. I want to show up knowing. Of course, I've caught many of your talks, but I want to know what you're about. People are doing the same thing to us. So if that means that your name on Instagram might need to change, or the photos that you post, I have gone to some people's page. They don't even know it. They may be new to following me, and I just want to see what they're about. Let that be clear. Let that be clear. And let that be about promoting your business, promoting what you do, and consistent artistry, even if that isn't growth.
And for some of y'all that's all here, because I actually ran into this yesterday. If y'all have an OnlyFans page, don't put it on y'all hairstylist page, but just go do another one of those.
You know what?
It was a hairstylist. A person came to the salon looking for this hairstylist, and he was like, "Do you know her?" And I was like, "Is this her OnlyFans page underneath her business page for hair?" But
Derek, I was watching an interview that you had talked about something similar, and you're talking about, I'm 50 years old. We believe in privacy. I think my generation, the way I was raised, I'm the youngest of four. The way I was raised, and the people I associate with. My life is private. There's a certain part of my life that will remain private. I don't think that social media promotes that. And so we become very numb to a lot of things that are happening. But you have to take a step back and think about, what is the ultimate goal? Where do I want this to end? If you are going to be an OnlyFans star, kudos to you. Maybe that might be your calling. All this time, but you got to think about where you want to end up. And so every step that I take is really about where I want to end up.
Sam, thank you so much. They popped that little number up there on me. They like, you got 3 minutes left.
Oh, good
thank
stuff.
you so much, Sam.
Thank you for having me.
I will. I mean, we have to spend time together because I love
No,
all
you've
of you.
always wanted to take us out to clubs. Every time I'm in Atlanta, you've
Yes.
always offered to me an Oscar. You've taken us out before,
Well,
and I'm so happy to have the hand holding. Because
right.
I'm like, I don't know Atlanta that well, but
So
hopefully we'll get to hang soon.
yes, you will. Sam, thank you so much, and you have a good bike ride today.
Thank you so much. See y'all.
Look at that. Good information, y'all. So next week is going to be a different week. Because as you know, I'm an art collector. Y'all see my art every time I move a camera around. So next week is going to be a week about art. I have my art dealer that's going to be here on Monday. I have the guy, Lobin, who created this, Laura Hill behind me. K.A. Williams, Leroy Campbell, and Charles Bibbs will all be here talking next week about art. So if you guys want to get into art, become an art collector, and make your home beautiful, full of art, make sure y'all tune in next week, okay? And thank you guys, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Oh, Derek Rutledge, I'm about to DM you right now, so check your DM, Derek. Bye, you guys.